Well, family, much anticipated, much awaited. We are finally about to do what you guys have been asking for, what my brother over at True Crime Story, Eddie Jackson Jr., has been asking for. And that is, we have an exclusive interview with Mr. Tommy Sharp, but much more famously known as Black Butch, the Black Dispatch, right? We introduced Butch to you guys 10 years ago, anniversary of the book Motown Mafia. Going into 2021, it's going to be the 10-year anniversary of the award-winning documentary Motown Mafia. So Butch was featured in there, but it was a lot covered in there. So over the years, as the story has grown, Butch is so famous in this town. He literally is the library of what has gone on in the city of Detroit when it comes to this street thing, all the way from the late 60s, all the way going into the year 2000. I mean, his life has been absolutely phenomenal. No one spent more time with the fat man than Black Butch. From sun up to sundown, he came in with the crew in the early 70s when things had first got popping. He has traveled the world. He has rubbed shoulders with everybody from the Temptations to Shaka Khan. He truly is. He's a Detroit institution, a Detroit legend. And when it comes to this street thing and how it happened and who was really who, he is truly one of the last of that era. He's not telling you what he heard or what he thinks. He's telling you what he lived. So with no further ado, my main man, Uncle Butch. Uncle Butch, how you feeling today?
I'm doing pretty fair, man.
Your other nephew, Eddie Jr., down there at True Crimes, he been screaming your name. The people in the comments section, that big boss, over the years, everybody been waiting for you to unpack it. And I apologize it took us so long to get you back on camera, from the job you did with us back at Motown Mafia. But I want to cut straight to it. So I gave some background story. You lived it all. You seen from Eddie Jackson to Jack Crawford to what's my man's name, Mr. Marzette, the whole kind of history of this game. But why don't you, Butch, start for us? How did you come into this life, man? How did you come into this life? When did it get started for you?
When I was about 18 years old, Eddie and the whole crew, we all growed up in the Valley,
okay,
which is not far from the Fox Theater. At the time, I was working. I was doing my little hustling, but I wasn't selling no drugs. I was working at the gas station. Been knowing Eddie 5 and on all my life. So I used to ask Eddie for a position. He told me he couldn't do it because, he was close to my mother. So I started hustling anyway with 5-0.
Now wait a minute, 5-0, that's Ronald Garrett.
Ronald Garrett.
Okay.
And so me and him, was real close. Like I said, we always close anyway because we was from growing up. And so me and him had a disagreement about something. So when we fell out, then I got with Eddie.
Well, hold on. Now, when you say y'all had a disagreement, is it true, this street legend, that the reason why you and 5-0 had a beef, you was out collecting 5-0 money, 5-0 was in bed with one of his women and got disturbed? Tell the truth.
5-0, you understand, was a big freak.
All right.
And I was collecting up all the money. That's all I did. Drop the drugs off and pick the money up. I picked up $50,000, took it to him, and he got upset because I disturbed him. So I told him, he can hate. Don't even worry about it. And so me and him fell out about that. So when we fell out, Eddie heard about it. He went to joking about it, man. He said, "You mean tell me that big freak, you understand, they want to take the money, you understand?" I said, "You know how crazy 5-0 is." So anyway, 5-0. So Eddie said, "Man, I got a job for you." So this is what I've been waiting on. I said, "What's the job, man?" He said, this was in '74. He said, "I got a brand new Eldorado parked in a Omaha Airport in Nebraska. He said, the keys will be in the parking lot at the attendance. And he said, all I want you to do is pick the car and bring it back. Just do the speed limit. So he gave me a plane ticket, and I went there, brought the car back. And when I got back, you understand, I come to find out I had a truck full of drugs, you know. And so, like I say, from that point on, that's what I started doing. Transport.
So Eddie flew you out to Omaha, Nebraska. The car was waiting for you.
Right.
You did what you were supposed to do.
And brought it back.
You ain't know the package was in the car till you got back to
Detroit. I got back to Detroit. He just told me don't do no speeding.
Okay. So when you start working with Eddie, let's go back to the New York thing. So when did you start going to New York?
After the bus on Hubbard. That's when I started going to New York. Me and Peter Gunn was the two road men. And Dean, Robert Robertson,
okay,
he did a trips too. But I was the main one. I was making trips back to back, going up in New York, dealing with the Gambino's family. And like I say, you understand, you had to be on a time basis. They'll give you a time to be there, and they'll tell you where to drop the car off at. And then we go to a hotel, a certain hotel, City Square. That's where we would go. And then when we go there, you understand, they'll call me in the room and tell me where to come at another location. And the key will be in the car. And I get in the car, I got protection from the time I get in that car to the time I get over to George Washington Bridge. And then when I get on the other side, which is in Jersey, I will be on my own. I used to make those trips sometimes twice a week.
Twice a week?
Yeah.
Y'all was running like that?
Yeah. I can go pick up a load and get to Detroit, and it'd be sold before I even get there.
So, now this is right when y'all was at y'all peak, right?
Yep.
This is when it was going down.
Right.
And
the drugs that we was getting,
okay,
we was paying $60,000 a key.
Okay.
At that time, they weren't using those scales. We would measure it out with quarter spoons. We was getting anywhere from 200 to 225 quarters of raw. We'd take it, pack it up in quarters, in bags of 25 in each bag. Take each bag and put 175 quarters on 25 quarters. That made 200. That was the key.
Wait a minute, let's slow down, because I think people when they be hearing about how y'all was able to make so much money, you saying you take 25 quarters of the raw.
Putting
175 quarters
of lactose.
A mix on it.
Right.
And it was still A1?
After we do that too, the person can put a 3 on it for P.
After y'all done already hit it.
That's right.
With 175 on 25.
That's right. We was taking one key, making 10 keys.
Wow.
And then where we was making our money up is when we was selling mixed jive. We would take 1 quarter of raw.
What is mixed?
Mix quinine, dormians, and lactose.
Okay.
We would take 1 quarter and put 80 quarters. We was putting a cut on it and made 81 quarters. And after those quarters, we do that, that's $45 a quarter. So that's the reason why we was making so much money.
Big Boss Filmworks and Big Boss Books presents Courtney Robert Brown Jr.'s follow-up to the book Motown Mafia. Motown Mafia, big man on campus.
My internship was kind of in how the world of international finance and international criminal activities overlap.
Corey Black Sr. wanted Corey to go to school to bring legitimacy to the family, but Corey had other plans. While in college, with the help of his friends and his girlfriend, he starts and grows a successful drug operation.
5 minutes later, 2 agents, now I know they were agents, but at the time I see 2 guys go to the right, another 2 guys start walking towards me. They stop at my seat and they go, "Grab your bags, DEA, come with us." Needless to say, this is not the fun part of being an intern.
Corey finds himself conflicted with his responsibility to running the family business and his obligation to his college studies. However, he'll have to make things work in his favor if he wants to remain the big man on campus. The names have been changed to protect the guilty and the innocent.
And I'm taking economics and business 101 and marketing, and your economic teacher's telling you about a business plan and how you get a small business loan. And it's kind of the hypocrisy of the world, because I'm like, that ain't how the real world works.
So that, you was putting an 80.
80.
And it was moving.
And it was moving.
Wow.
For a mixed job.
Unbelievable. So so I think that'll help people get to understand how y'all was able to run up.
That's the reason why we was able to do what we was doing. Me and Eddie would go through the projects and throw out 30, 40,000, at least twice a week.
30, 40,000.
Out the moon roof, the windows, or whatever. We would have traffic jammed on Woodward.
And what was you telling me? We was talking, and you was saying about just kind of how in the glory days, guys might just stand on the corner hoping to see you and Eddie drive.
Yeah, we used to come through the neighborhood at least every day, if not twice a day. And we'd be certain corners where we would turn, like where the Columbia Bar at, where all the hoes and prostitutes used to be at. Because back during that time, man, that's where all your hustlers come from, down in the valley, down from the Brewster Projects. And like I say, I haven't never seen this much money in a neighborhood in my life. It'll never happen again. Because back then, it was no vacant lots nowhere in the city. Ever since that crack epidemic came, that's the reason why, you understand, there's so many vacant lots. It didn't happen until the rocks started selling rocks. But I'm telling you, man, it was so much money in Detroit, man. And then we was the only one getting money. We was about the number one. But it was so many niggas down there in that neighborhood getting money. I'm talking about on a daily basis.
So what were some of the other characters from back in that day that you think down there around that Rush, John?
The Godfather. Eddie Seals. Times Square Bob. Willie Lee. Buddy was one of the first person started selling drugs down there. He was an older guy. They used to call him the little fella. This was in 68, 69. This was before Eddie, But like I say, it's so many guys that was getting money down there. I can't remember all of them, but it was so many of them. You understand? I'm talking about was getting money. 50, 60,000 every day. Al Finch, the Gary brothers, Zach.
You were saying, it ain't an exaggeration. Obviously, y'all was getting the most money. But you were saying it probably was, what, $1 million? You think $1 million a day?
It probably was more than that in the run of a day with all the guys that was getting money.
Wow.
I'm talking about it was crazy. But it was the good days, though. And see, when all that old, and then you talking about hustlers, those pimps, they was getting money.
And you were saying the tops, the people, what kind of money?
The runner was getting $2 off a pack.
And how much could a good runner make in a day?
They was making 20, 30,000 a day, a runner.
Wow.
And that's no lie. It was some hell of a guys down there selling stuff, man. TD, Knight, Top Dog, yeah. The whole Robert family. Pat Robb, they was getting money. All of them.
Yeah, they all kind of famous. And so there was a connection.
Butch Harris, Reno, from the projects.
So most of the people from the projects kind of knew.
Strider Bush, Streaky Steve, Red George, Big Nose.
He kind of famous known around here. When did you and Freaky Steve cross paths?
I've been knowing Steve a long time. When Steve first came home from jail, he went to jail for, I forgot what it was. But when he came out, you understand, I got with him because we was close. And he asked me what was I doing. I told him, well, I had some work if you want some, but he had never sold no stuff then. I gave him an ounce of raw. And from that, he went on. And then he started striding them off. He was the first one that started selling that raw.
Street history there. Freaky Steve is who started Strata Butch off
Right. Steve is the first one that started selling raw.
out of that clay.
That's right. They call themselves the three the hard way.
And so that was,
Freaky Steve, Strata, and Red George.
wow. Read the hard way.
Yep. And you can't forget about Dodo.
And all respect, I believe you said that Dodo's brother, Augie, just passed.
Yeah, Hoggy just passed a few days ago, you know.
Rest in peace to Augie
Yeah.
and Dodo's family.
Yeah,
So,
but
what you know about Dodo? Because Dodo famous, everybody kind of around town.
he was real quiet, man. But he been a businessman all the time. You know, he had a restaurant. His family, you understand, for a long time. But Dodo was real quiet. What he did, you know, he had a lot of connection with the Eastern Market and stuff. You know, he was getting money.
Because he
He
owned.
didn't want to own all that property down in Brush Park down there, you know, until he got killed, you know. Because I had property down there on Brush too. I had a few buildings down there too, on Brush and Winder and stuff, you know.
All what now is the high range district.
That's right. Yep. But like I say, you understand, that neighbor down there was something. I mean, you talking about back in them days, those hoes was the cleanest women and sharpest women you ever seen in your life. I'm talking about it's not like it is now.
Right.
But I'm just saying, though, man, you understand, hey, it's day and night the way the life is now and it was then, you know. But like I say, but there'll never be nobody like Eddie. Eddie was one of a kind, man. You know, he was the type of person, you understand, he didn't tell nobody that somebody worked for him. Hey, don't nobody work for me. We hustle together.
Okay.
You know, and that's the way he was. We was getting so much money that it was unbelievable. We used to go to the Cadillac dealership and buy 10, 15 Cadillacs at once and pay cash for it.
And you've been with Eddie, so you ain't saying what you think. You tell
Well,
me.
I'm telling you what I know and what I did. Me and that man have been all over the world together.
So where's the only place you and Eddie went together?
We done been all through Europe. You understand? Amsterdam, London, Frankfurt. That's over in Germany, but we done been Paris.
Wait a minute. Tell them about what you say one time y'all was over in Europe and y'all, what'd you say y'all took 50,000 and somehow y'all.
The first day we got there, we took 50,000. It was like I say, we had about 6 or 7 guys that was with us, you know, and so we was already in London at the Hilton in London, and he said, "Man, let's go up in Amsterdam, up there, up in the red light district." So we always game to go, you know. So we went up there. We flew to Amsterdam on Canal Street. This is where you can walk on both sides of the streets and window shop for bitches. I mean, we must have water right past you. And the next day, we had to send somebody to send some money back to us because, had to find somebody, because we couldn't have the kind of money we wanted to bring to us on the Western
Y'all
Union.
had spent the 50,000
Yeah,
you took.
yeah. We
Now
had,
y'all need
cause
some
we
money.
had did some shopping and stuff like that. Every time when we stayed in London, we left there with the Paris, and we stopped in Africa. But what happened when we got there, we had got completely broke.
So how would y'all get some more money?
We were sending people back with passports to meet us in the next destination.
So y'all call back to the States, say, hey, meet me, we about to be in.
We left there, we had to meet us in Rio de Janeiro after we left Africa.
Wait a minute, y'all started in Europe, then you went to Africa, and then you go from Africa
to Rio de
to
Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro.
And when we got in Rio, we didn't have nothing but our jewelry, because everybody else had got homesick. They went home. Me and Eddie kept on going. When we got there, we didn't even have enough money to get a hotel fare. So we gave the guy, we showed him the jewelry, told him the situation and stuff. They took our jewelry, put it in the safe and stuff, and we had someone to fly to be there the next day.
Y'all flew somebody from Detroit down to Rio.
Yep. And the next day, we had somebody to bring us another 100,000, because me and him stayed in South America from Rio de Janeiro. We went down to every country in South America, from Rio de Janeiro all the way to the Panama Canal.
So did y'all go through Colombia?
We went through Colombia. We stayed a lot of time in Bogota.
Was the cocaine business already up and going?
Yes, it was, but it wasn't the way it was, in the 80s, but yeah, it was. Yeah, because we went to one of those villas, you understand, where it was processing. We seen the little kids and the women, you understand, smashing the
leaf.
leaves, yeah, getting the paste out the leaves, yeah. We went in there, you know. Yep, like I say, me and him, you understand, we didn't did it, man. And like I say, man, you know, as far as like the way the feds was on us, everywhere we went, they followed us. And what they was trying to get an income tax case because we were spending so much money. We'll go at a cornfield up in New York. There was a place just like Cousins. We'll go in there and spend 70, 80,000, but everywhere we go, we was tipping the salesman 10,000 or something like that. They weren't gonna tell no federal agents how much money we was spending. They was covering all that. You know, everywhere we went, they was trying to get a case, but they couldn't never get in there, man. But Eddie paid his taxes. That's one thing I say about him. He paid his taxes.
What's up, family? It's your man, Courtney Robert Brown Jr. Here in Dakar, Senegal. Yes, Big Boss is still in West Africa. We're going to be here for a few more days. And we're having an awesome time here, family. So, you know, we're hooking up with brothers here at the Made in Africa Project. Just had a real positive meeting with the brother who owns a nightclub over here called Dream. He's doing some thing in the film industry, got some studios. So,
right there.
2021,
You know,
look forward
I've been
to meet some of Big
around
Boss's
the world.
first projects coming out of
this setting here, this
coming out of the motherland. So we are very excited about that. So anyway, you know, guys, with all that's been going on this year in 2020, we didn't really get a chance to do the 10-year anniversary that we wanted to do for this project, which is what started the whole thing, the whole reason why there's even a YouTube channel and why there was the award-winning documentary Motown Mafia. And all that came with that, and before all of this, the Kingpin's Kid Radio, and now Eddie Jr.'s channel. But this whole thing began 10 years ago. So this is the 10th anniversary of when this project began. It began with this book, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of the Kingpin's Kid. And so I know a lot, because I know a lot of you guys, family, you actually know of me or Eddie Jr. or my old man or Fat Man's Legend, and you know it through YouTube. Some of you may have seen the documentary, which, by the way, is available at BigBossFilmworks.com or on Amazon Prime, Tubi TV, or most of your streaming platforms. You can still get the award-winning documentary, Motown Mafia. It all began with this book. Shout out to Lou Stevens, my partner. You never see much of him because he's usually behind the camera, but he has been the backbone of Big Boss Filmworks since we started this thing, so shout out to you, Brother Lou. But so as I was saying, though, if you don't know the fact that why me and Eddie have been friends for, you know, all of our lives, Eddie Jr., how his dad and my dad have been friends for all of their lives. The real story on how Eddie Jackson Sr., the Fat Man himself, how he started and built that $1 million empire. You know, we've attempted to unpack it, but if you really want the story, the in-detailed story, you know, give the book a shout. It's also available on Kindle. It's also a history lesson, you know, like in chapter 1, let's just say in the beginning, you know, you get the whole background in chapter 1 of where Detroit was at in the 50s and 60s, the real story with Black Bottom. A feel of what Detroit was like in 1971, where the Detroit Tigers were doing, what the Pistons were doing, what was going on with the race relations in the city. And then the fact that was the year that would change the course of the Fat Man's organization and everything. That was the year where he met the Gambino crime family. That was also the year where they had the raid on Hubble, which is still, I believe, standing the largest raid in narcotics history in the city of Detroit. So a lot of history, you know, in this book. And I just wanted to give a shout out. Who else? Michelle Moore, the Essence award-winning author, Hood Books, Say You Promise Enterprise, Say You Promise Publishing. Shout out to Michelle. She brought this home. You know, family, I'm not an author, so I put together the manuscript. Michelle Moore brought this project home. Anita Flanagan, the editor, Lou's auntie, you know, again. So shout out 10-year anniversary to the book and all the people who played a part in this thing, and it's just really cool, man. And now, you know, if you told us 10 years ago I might have said, yeah, I'll be in West Africa, but if you said 10 years ago, Courtney, you're gonna have a book road, and then the follow-up book, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you know, not the follow-up to this. There's the follow-up, Motown Mafia, Big Man on Campus. But then, you know, we did come out with another book called Get Your Mind Right, Get Your Money Right, Getting Off Zero. And just where the idea started, man. People have been telling me my whole life that I lived an interesting life and stuff I had seen. You know, working for my father, just growing up next to Eddie Jackson, seeing their whole rise, fall, and rise again, and now to be over here in Africa, expanding, you know, this Filmworks thing and this content creation to the motherland, hooking up with some brothers. It's just a blessing, man. So we look forward. Want to say thank you again, though. If you don't know, not got the full in-depth story. 10-year anniversary, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid. Check it out. You can get it from our website, BigBossFilmworks.com. You can definitely get it from Amazon. And if you have not seen the award-winning documentary that followed up on that, you can definitely check that out on Amazon Prime. So, and Tubi TV, again, all the other ones. And the brothers here are taking good care of us in Senegal. So, good look, good shout out. Oh yeah, and with the 10-year anniversary, shout out to my man Al Prophet, what he's doing with American Dope out there. You know, Al has been very integral and just been a great assistance. We caught up with Al right when the book was coming out, and you know, he's gone on to do some really big things. And yeah, shout out to Al Prophet, shout out to Cavario, shout out to what they're doing over at American Dope. It's all good. So I ain't gonna hold you guys up, but again, Big Boss Filmworks live, Dakar, Senegal, West Africa, 10-year anniversary book, Kingpin's Kid, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, Motown Mafia. Thank you all. Appreciate the support. Love you guys. I'll let you, man. Peace. Okay, so now you right there, but you were fortunate, right? Because when the indictment came down, so let's go back. The indictment started, according to the feds, the indictment started with Farrah being...
Farrah Lee was the first person that got busted in the whole crew. At that time, you understand?
You was already...
I was with 5-0 then.
You was at 5-0.
Right. Yeah, when she got busted, you understand? And like I say, when she got busted, that's another thing, too. Out of the whole situation, the only thing I hated about that situation was because Farrah Lee, she was a stand-up person. I mean, she did not, you understand, say not one word, and she had a habit. I mean, she did not open her mouth. And then because she was sending mail to Eddie, they was letting it get through, but they was stopping all the mail coming from him, making her feel like that he wasn't, you know, thinking about her.
Trying to break her
Yeah,
spirit.
right. And like I said, she didn't even go through that, man. And like I said, she did all that time, and just, you know, she made it home and everything, you know, and just he just didn't do what to do for her what I felt like he should have did, you know.
So, and then I think the Fed said, so the conspiracy they all went down on started with the bust in New York with Farrah Lee, ended with the raid on Hubble. But you ducked, they missed you.
They missed a lot of things with me because they thought, you understand, I really wasn't doing nothing because of the age I was.
Because you was what?
17, 18 years old, right. So, you know, they looked over me. But like I say, after they found out what was going on, that's when I really started to, you understand, making moves. I was going to New York, copying, bringing it back, cutting it, distributing it with the help of Dean and Peter Gunn and all of them. And then I had to go back again. I was running the whole operation.
So there's a couple guys we didn't get a chance to really get a credit in Motown Mafia in the year. So Peter Gunn.
Peter Gunn's he did. Now Peter Gunn he was like I said, he grew up in the neighborhood, man. He was just close. He was around Eddie age. Like I say, all of them was 12, 13 years older than me. You know, but like I say, man, you know, we was close. We was close. After my father's growing up, we was close.
CDL, another name.
CDL, I mean,
CDL
CDL around that same age, and Jap, we were around the same age, but they was a little faster than me. They was selling drugs and stuff, but I was working then, you know. But like I say, after I got in, got in the crew, me and CDL was real close. Me and CDL was doing a lot of stupid shit, you know.
So what about, you was telling me about the time where Eddie and my father ended up being on TV and they was interviewing Eddie. Where was you at when that got shown on TV?
When they had the interview with Eddie on Channel 4, me and CDL had been up tricking, getting high. CDL, you understand, had bad eyes. He couldn't see. You know, I was driving that black and orange Fleetwood at the time.
What did y'all call that?
The pumpkin. Yeah. And I fell asleep. We had been up about 2 or 3 days, and I fell out. CDL got up under the wheel, and some way or another, the police pulled us over, coming up at Gratiot. And they pulled us over. When I woke up, you understand, they had us parked in front of 1,300 Bovian. So they arrested us, and that same day, that's when they had the interview for Eddie. They came to say, y'all bosses on TV and brought the TV to us in the cell. That's how I found out that they had him on TV.
And y'all watched the interview on Channel 4
from the cell.
From the cell.
From the cell.
You would see there.
Yeah.
Bubba Bell, he was another guy around. We didn't mention much.
He was the teller. We used to use him for the stash. He used to say, we had Russell, he was another one.
Russell Clayton.
Yeah, Russell Clayton, right. And Box, he was like the mascot. He was an old junkie, but he had a lot of knowledge as far as with drugs. He's the one that introduced Eddie to John Claxton.
Now Claxton kind of famous in this town. You ever come across John
Claxton? Yeah, I met him, you understand, after he came home out of his first bit. And when he came home, you understand, him and Eddie, you understand, he still had his house out in Palmer Park. And he was making moves and stuff, and Eddie was telling me, man, you got to slow down. You see, and Eddie was trying to pull his coat, but he wouldn't listen. He had caught another case. And he had to, you understand, get up.
Because he ended up fleeing the country.
That's right. Ain't nobody seen him from. Haven't seen him since. And then another person, as far as like him, Frank Matthews is another person, you understand, that I know.
Tell us about, because Frank Matthews, he famous. They done documentaries and everything about him. Tell us about your interactions.
Okay, every Christmas, all the big number men, all the drug dealers would go to Vegas back in that time. That was the spot. This particular Christmas, we was down there. The feds, you understand, rounded up all the drug dealers and had us all locked up.
So it's you, Eddie, my father.
The cell that I was in was me, your daddy, Eddie, Frank Matthews, I think Charlie Moe. Charlie Moe too. And there was a couple more people. Well, anyway, now Nicky Barnes wasn't there. He wasn't there.
You have had.
Because after the boat strike they had in New York, me and Eddie, we started dealing with people in New York, Well, anyway, like I say, after that, Frank Matthews was in the cell, and when he got bounded out, you know what happened? He jumped, and ain't nobody seen him since. That's the first time that I ever met him. Was when we was locked up together. And at that time, you understand, you had to be 21 years old to be
in the casino.
Yeah, and now they arrested me for being a minor.
But they threw you in the cell with Eddie, my father.
Yeah, always. Yeah, but like I say, man, it was rough. It was really pretty rough at that time, Wow. Big Wingate, he was a known figure in the city, you understand. He used to run the 20 grand motel, Yeah, but like I say, man, this city here ain't nothing like Detroit back in the day.
What about DeWitt? DeWitt, another one of the crew.
DeWitt, he was another guy that was dealing with us. It was at least about 10 guys that was our main guys that we were supplying. DeWitt, Inkster Jones, Chip on the east side, J.C. Rex.
What about
Greg, the Nielsen family, They was just their regulars, and I have did some business with, you understand, Hollywood Clay, and it's quite a few people that I can't remember their names, but I'm telling you some of the main people that we was dealing with was the Nielsen family was doing a lot of business. Oh yeah, I can't forget Rudolph. Rudolph, you understand, one of the main ones. Yeah, Charles Rudolph, he growing up with us, you know. Like I say, you understand, all of us real close, like family, man. We really was. And then, and we stuck together. And we didn't really have, we really didn't, we had problems, but we didn't really kind of problems people thought we had. Because, you understand, hey, when we had problems, we stopped it before it started. And 5-0, you understand, he was no joke.
So let's go into that. So by now, y'all famous in the streets, y'all getting all kind of money. Now normally with that comes somebody gonna try to rob you, somebody gonna try to shake you down. Y'all didn't really go through that to deal with.
We had problems like that, but see, people saying, I done heard people saying, Eddie, you understand, they never could put no bodies on us.
Okay.
All right, but far as like that old hit squad, we ain't never had no fucking hit squad.
Y'all didn't find it?
No, we didn't have it. It wasn't necessary. We know niggas who did killings and stuff, but like I said, we ain't never had no problems like that because we had some problems. Just think of one thing we always have say, when you hire a nigga to kill somebody, you got to turn around and look out for him. You got to watch him. So why even have problems like that? You got problems, take care of it right then. You got problems, take care of it right then. So I ain't all that nobody having a hit squad or all that. We know them, AC Ducey, a whole lot of the guys, but like I say, hey, we have a hit squad. And like I say, Adolf was another guy from the West Side.
He's famous. Tell us about Adolf.
Adolf was a hell of a hustler. He was real quiet to himself. And he was a gentleman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to Harold, old guy, and he was saying that Adolf ran in the same circles as y'all.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he did. Keith Johnson, you understand, he was a hell of a hustler. He had control of all the number streets. You had problems when you came over there to see him. He was a hell of a guy.
All right. In this article, back when Eddie and them had first hit the paper, they talk about a guy named Jack Crawford. You know anything about Jack?
I know Jack. I know him good.
Did he hustle down there where y'all was at?
No, he was West Side mostly. Mostly West Side. He was handling packages. Yeah, he was a nice guy.
What about Maurice Downs? He's in that article.
Yeah, he was the one that he moved to California. He was handling a lot. He was distributing stuff to a lot of guys in the city of Detroit.
You ever had any kind of dealings with Texas Slim?
No, I know him, but I ain't never had no dealing with him. I know the house that Texas Slim had on the West Side. Eddie and us had this guy named Matt Frederick.
Yes,
he was a real estate street guy.
Rest in peace, Matt
right.
Frederick.
He the house that Texas Slim had, it was up for sale, and he took Eddie and us over there to take a look at it. And we were in the basement, in the basement, with a lot of bullet holes in the basement walls and stuff, and he told us that was used to be his house, but he never did no business with him, but I heard of him and stuff,
What was it? Maurice Downs.
Maurice Downs, he handled a lot of big weight, like I say, he wasn't no low level dealer, That was Butch Harris, man. Yeah.
Did you know Butch Harris?
Yeah, I know him real good. Yeah.
And those guys that went out to California,
Yeah.
got some things.
Yeah.
They even made some movies and all.
Yeah.
Are you and Eddie used to go to Vegas frequently? Is that right?
We used to go there quite a bit. Back at that time, Goldfarb, the bonding agency, they had interest in the Aladdin Casino.
Right.
So anytime we wanted to go down there, we got everything free except for our phone call, long distance phone calls. And then if we gambling, which we have, we lose money, and we had a credit line, we can get 100,000 like it wasn't nothing.
Wow.
And that happened quite a few times. And when we came into Vegas, you understand, all the cab drivers, when they know, the first thing they say, is y'all hooked up with the Jackson crew? Because you understand, they know we was big tippers. And every hole in the city, you understand, they stopped, tried to come from whatever casino we was at.
Y'all ain't got that famous.
Yeah, oh yeah, we ain't got that big out there. Yeah, for really did, you know.
Wow.
Everything we was getting a lot of stuff free because of the kind of money we was spending.
So in this case that they talk about with Eddie and 5-0 had went to New York and on their way back, what do you know about that? Because
they got it on paper, right?
Yeah.
Yep. The respect that Eddie had for the police was one of the things that I didn't like. Just because how much money we was getting, you still got to respect the police no matter what. He was speeding, going there, and got stopped going. Police, Trooper Wynn, he understand.
That's just what the paper said.
That's right, Trooper Wynn. He understand stopped him because he was speeding. They're going to New York. And he seen 25,000 cash, a bag of money, cash. So they let him go. But when he called in, he told them, see, this is when they told him he was a well-known drug dealer from Detroit, they let him go. He went on to New York, the cop, the same day, he turned right around, coming back, driving your mother's Thunderbird. And when he understand, coming back, the same trooper was on the highway, and he was speeding, and they stopped him, and they found, you understand, and then they stopped him, you understand, they asked Eddie for the keys to the trunk. He threw them away or whatever. So they impounded the car because they felt like something was suspicious, you know, so he took it in.
So, but they found 11 kilos of heroin and 3 kilos of cocaine. Y'all didn't sell cocaine, so what was y'all gonna do with them 3 kilos?
All that was just for personal. That was the worst thing ever happened to me and Eddie when we started getting high cocaine. Charlie Dobbs, back in that time, a lot of people ain't never seen pharmaceutical cocaine. They got 2 different kinds, Merck and Millencroft. Merck is the real light one, look like a quinine. That's the best one. The other one's a little heavier, but it is pharmaceutical cocaine. You get it from the pharmacy. Back then, I don't know about now, but I'm just saying, you understand, Charlie Dobbs had a connect for it. You should get it right there on Woodward and Charlotte with a cash place right today. There used to be a pharmacy there, and you used to go in there and buy them by the bottle. And they used to sell that $100 a cap.
Wow.
Back in that day. But me and Eddie had started blowing that cocaine. We would sit up and ride, not having nothing to do. We would sit up and ride, get high, go get hoes, and freak off with your stand man for 2 or 3 days at a time. And started going off. He gets so high, he think he can't get no higher, so he thinking somebody spiking his shit. But he didn't got too high. Man, I used to disappear, man, for 2 or 3 months at a time because this saying, hey, it's all right having fun when you go acting and getting paranoid, you understand? That's a dangerous position to be in.
And so y'all going through kilos to give away and just
yeah,
y'all.
That's all.
Y'all ain't never tried to make no money off that.
Not at all. Not at all.
And how much was a key of cocaine costing back then?
Shit. Back then, you understand, they was charging, you understand, $100 a gram, $2,800, $2,800 an ounce.
Even at the amounts y'all was buying.
That's right. It was high. Like they say, it was a rich man high.
A rich man high.
Yeah.
What's happening, family? It's your man, Courtney Robert Brown Jr., still live, West Africa, Dakar, Senegal. We're here to talk about a little bit today, which was our follow-up project after we had came out with the award-winning book, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid. I don't know if everyone knows, we actually did another book that wasn't related to the story of my father and Eddie, and that was Mind Right, Money Right. It was kind of our way of giving back. I wanted to share some of the insights and some things that allowed me to have the business success I've had, and how that came from, because it's all about exposure, family. You know, when you're think bigger. When you've seen bigger, you think bigger. When you know better, you do better. So as I'm sitting here in West Africa, chapter 1 in this book is called When We Were Kings. And I don't know, for you, a lot of people out there, family, may not know that by academia, by schooling, I am a historian. So I've always had a great interest in where I am, where I come from, and what I'm about. You know, in fact, just recently, I took that Ancestry.com test. They send you a little kit, and you send them a little saliva sample, and they can actually tell you, family, where you come from here. So, like, I'm 60% Nigerian, a little bit from Ghana, a little bit from what is now Angola. So, because I think, you know, we talk about in this chapter, When We Were Kings, if we understood that every African American has a cousin and family member here on the continent of Africa, likely in South America, if the brothers and sisters here in Africa understood that they got cousins, we'd put this thing together and we'd be getting money together. And once we figure out that whether you're in South Carolina or Senegal, where I'm at, we're all in the same boat together. So, you know, I was reviewing the book, When We Were Kings. You know, we talk about the black man, Mansa Musa, was the richest man that the world has ever known. And that's according to Forbes magazine, right? So if you're not hip on Mansa Musa, Google up that name. His empire was right here where I'm sitting now. And just to kind of inspire you, because it wasn't that long ago that a black man was king of this land and controlled the world's controlled the world's gold, silver, salt, and was regarded as, he was the richest man of his time and the richest man the world has ever known. And if we understood that we come from kings, that's not just something that the Hotep brothers and sisters be saying, but it's the truth. So we can all do a little bit better. But in these times we live now, man, with all this going on, you know, this George Floyd thing, the police shooting us, the things and struggles that's going over here on the continent, and really just we as people of color all over the world, the situation we find ourselves in. You know, give this book a read, man. I'm not just saying as a plug. In fact, I think I'm going to do a little promotion when I get back, really make it accessible. It'll give you some real insights to really be able to connect the dots. So that's Getting Off Zero, named after Brother Ray Tatum's company down in Atlanta. You know, we hooked up about, that was in 07, and Big Boss Filmworks and Getting Off Zero have been doing business together ever since. And our theory is simply this, brothers and sisters. If you get your mind right, you'll get your money right. And once you get your money right, you can come enjoy some of this beautiful thing that we call planet Earth. So holla at your man. Again, 10-year anniversary of Big Boss Filmworks. We are really, really happy and proud. We thank you guys so much. Check out our catalog. Getting Off Zero, Mind Right, Money Right. You want more of the real intel, detailed stories on how Pops and Eddie Jackson, the Fat Man, put it down in the 70s. Pick up the book, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid. Get Amazon, check out the doc, Motown Mafia, the story of Eddie Jackson and Courtney Brown. And also, our newest works, Motown Mafia, Big Man on Campus. Give us a shout, 10-year anniversary, Big Boss Filmworks, BigBossFilmworks.com. Salute, peace, and thank you all. Speaking of entertainers in Vegas, just go down some of the list. You ran across.
Okay, Red Fox. Red Fox, all the like the stylistic, all the OJs, all them groups used to come to 20 grand at that time.
Right.
Back in that time, you understand, man, they used to go to Henry's, 20 grand, Felson Blues place, and Ben High Chaparral on Gratiot.
Okay.
They used to have all them groups coming out.
And y'all cross paths.
Yeah. And like I say, man, we was, and the ones that got high, we used to, you understand, serve them, you understand, we give it to them.
And obviously the entertainers like to do it. So
Oh, yeah.
Coming around.
Yep, to keep them up and all that, you know. And like I said, a lot of our entertainers used to be around us, you understand. I mean, a lot of them. Eddie's favorite group was the Deals. That was his favorite group, you know. But like I say, man, you understand, all of them, you understand, we used to bitch and ass all of them. All of them.
What happened with some, I've heard.
Richard Pryor, he's another one. You know.
I heard some kind of crazy story. Is it true you have thrown a kilo of cocaine out a window in Las Vegas?
Me and Eddie had got so high one particular time. We both had got paranoid. He in one room, I'm in another room. We had got so high, he called me and tell me, he said, man, somebody following us. I'm looking out the window, waiting for somebody to come through the door. And then he called me and tell me instead, throw it away, man, because they get ready to come in. I threw the cocaine out the window, man. Thinking somebody coming in. That didn't happen quite a few times.
And the thing is, now most people, so I guess I'm trying to put in how much money y'all had to be having to be able to be, because y'all was kind of young. Y'all was young. You guys, so when this is going on, y'all was in y'all 20s.
Yeah. They was in their late 20s. I was in my early
20s, right? So you guys they're in their late 20s. You're in your early 20s. And y'all got enough money
to do whatever we wanted to do and buy whatever we wanted to buy.
And getting high, having a silly night, and throwing away a kilo of cocaine, it was just like, oh well.
That was an everyday thing, you know. It really was. And like I say, man, and then we helped a lot of people, man.
Talk about that.
We helped a lot of people, man. We, you understand, bought houses for people, put a lot of people in business. You understand? Eddie was a giving person. Anybody that know him, he was giving. Like I say, people know we used to come through the neighborhood. They would stand on certain corners because they figured we going to come through there sooner or later. And whenever we do come through, and they out there and he see him, he going to stop and give him something. It ain't nothing for him to stop to give a person, you understand, $400-500.
Back then.
Back then. You can imagine, like I say, back then, you understand, the biggest Cadillac, it cost you no more than $12,000. The biggest one. The biggest Mercedes 450 SEL back then, $18,000. Rolls Royce, $35,000. Can you see the difference in the way the kind of money is back then it is now?
Right, because now the same with inflation, the same Rolls Royce is $300,000.
That's right.
The same Cadillac about $100,000.
That's right.
Same Mercedes about $200,000, $150,000.
So can you see the difference in the kind of money we was having then back then? How much money was worth then it is now?
I mean, y'all was handling millions.
Right.
In today's money, there would be hundreds of millions.
That's what I'm talking about. And then we had phones in the car, you understand? Back in the early 70s, we had phones in the car.
Yeah, I remember.
And we would go buy 4-5 Cadillacs and take them out. The guy used to do all our work, Steve Hopper. He was out on Grossbeck and 12 Mile. He was putting stashes in our cars. We would take brand new Cadillacs. He would break them down and hook them up like, you know, back where them pimps was back in the day with the wheels in the back and all different colors and stuff. We was changing the Cadillac colors when we was buying them. And right after years after that, they started bringing out the same colors that we was putting in the custom shop. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you're right. Y'all that got so famous, Cadillacs
changing the colors on them
because y'all was buying them and customizing them.
That's
like
right.
You had the pumpkin and
he had
the, what was the first crowd pleaser?
White checkerwood blower top. You understand? Like I say, the year later, after we was putting those on those cars, General Motors was coming out with, like, you didn't see no orange top on no car back then.
Wow.
And that guy used to work at the Cadillac dealer. His name was Frank Gallo. The guy that put the pin straps on the car. Oh, he got rich. Every time we got cars, he had to strap them up.
Okay. Okay, so Eddie and the crew go to jail late 70s. You didn't got fortunate enough to...
He didn't go to jail.
Cause you with me, but you were with him when he finally got violated.
Yeah. I was on the highway with him. Eddie, he got busted in 71. He kept the whole, I think it's about 30, how many people got indicted? About 33, wasn't it?
32 people indicted.
He paid the lawyer fee, and, every year that you don't go in, you had to pay for the bond. He did that from 71 up until 76. Yeah. That's when they pulled me and him off, me and him and Hucklebuck in Missouri. And that's when they violated him. Because you remember he wasn't supposed to go on out of the state.
Right. And that's when he started his sentence.
That's when he started his sentence, 76.
And then the rest of the crew was about to follow him in.
That's right.
That next year,
right.
77.
Right.
All right. So what do you do now? Your man that had to sit down, and all your crew
I continued doing what I was doing. You understand? I backed up for about a couple of years, but then I still had different connections. I started to deal with another guy. He was well known. He just died. His name was, we call him EJ. That was Ernest Jackson. He was from Alabama.
Was he? He was kind of big in this.
He was a big guy. He stayed in California though, but he served a lot of people in the city of Detroit. He just died recently, a few years ago. And like I said, I continued to do my things, man. A lot of guys that I was dealing with, that was handling pretty good. And then, like I say, Paul Orr, he was a big guy on the east side. He died.
What period was this with Paul?
He just got killed, you understand, in 2000. I'm talking about from 80, because I was dealing with Paul then after Eddie went to jail. This is in 72, but he got killed in 2001, I think.
Okay. So you keep doing what you're doing, kind of like fall back.
Eddie come home.
Eddie come home.
Come home, wilder than he was before. Now I'm doing my thing. I'm satisfied. I gave him some money when he came home. We were still cool. I'm always gonna be cool with Eddie because we was close. And he asked me, he said, man, I'm finna put something together. Because I used to go all out in Mexico picking up shit. California, all over the United States. That was my thing. He asked me would I make a trip, not knowing that they had a bug in his car. This is when he came home now.
But this is like 83.
80, right. So I told him, yeah. He said, Butch, could you make a trip for me, man? I said, what, Eddie? He said, why don't you go and see if you can get me a rental car. I want you to go down in Mexico where you used to go. I said, it would be no problem. When I said that, that's when I entered the conspiracy, when I agreed to do it.
That's how you ended up on that
That's
case.
how I ended up with that case. And then I wasn't even planning on doing it. Because he wasn't the type of person he don't want to accept. No, I just told him that because I knew I wasn't going to be there to do it. And this when they busted him when he went to Mexico and was coming back.